All right, y'all. So Davon, he actually has a group in right now. They're still going, and we're still doing this. I'm helping him with that too, but kind of multitasking.
This ain't no pain, so I'm just tryna get them racks, ain't tryna move on. Niggas saying I'm the one, ain't tryna prove I'm wrong. Swear to God, I'll be straight, love the money, fuck the fame. I love the money, these bitches gon' chase. I got it back, I ain't showing my hand. I know some niggas that chase them a beat, they'll take some pussy before taking them.
What's good, y'all? Welcome back to another podcast of the Highlight Show. I'm Cardo, and for today's guest, I got somebody really impacting the Charleston area in every sport. Like, what don't you do?
Shit, now probably golf. That's all I got to put in the bag now, and that'll be good.
That's it. But I'm here with my boy Davon, man. Can't stop training,
What's up,
man.
boy?
My boy, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Day in the life, in the
Day in
lab,
the life,
where I
yeah.
belong, and got some athletes actually working out while we're doing the podcast, man. Can't get any realer than this for me.
Yeah, y'all probably can hear them back there, He just had a session, maybe two, before this. But I want to jump right into it, man. I remember you told me a little bit of how you started this and how it started and how you got it going.
Well, for me, I've been kind of training people pretty much my whole life, man. And the way I pretty much got started is I went to school for exercise science. Kind of knew what I wanted to do. Knew I wanted to be in some realm of health, fitness, or sports performance. Almost went to school as almost went to physical therapy school initially at MUSC. I was working as a PT tech. I did that for about a year and a half. I was training a kid named Brady Shuck at the time, first client I ever had, and I actually ended up getting fired from that job. I showed up 3 times for being late because I was training Brady, and the last day I got fired was the same day he got Player of the Year. So it's kind of my ultimate sign to know, like, all right, this is what I'm supposed to be doing for a living. So that same day I went to the business office, got my license, and it really kind of worked out. I ended up picking up like 9 kids right the next day, and I ended up coaching them at Fort Johnson, middle school. Coached them for middle school and B team, and it kind of really just started with basketball. Then I started doing a little bit of baseball, and more kids started coming on, and then I started taking over lacrosse. It was really new here. Shout out to all my lacrosse girls that went to college, and yeah, man, just finding my way. But I always knew I wanted to come back home and train because we didn't have anybody here. So I kind of wanted to bring that market here and kind of really inspire people to see that this thing is kind of possible. Like I always tell people, I don't think I paved the way for anybody. I wouldn't call myself that, but I definitely feel like I gave people hope in this city that you can actually be a trainer, be successful, and actually make things happen. So
and I think you definitely did that for sure, because there's so many trainers that like come to even runs too,
right?
Like group training now, me, and even Coach Fordham at the factory,
right.
Like it kind of opened the door for everybody. That's, I guess you did kind of pave the way. You were the first one, man. Like,
yeah, I mean, in a sense, and like it's funny because a lot of dudes was like some old head would work some of us out back in the day, but it wasn't to this capacity. I really, like I said, I went to school for exercise science. I was already used to diving deep in books and learn how to research and find stuff out. So having that side, back in that side is really what I feel kind of solidified me as a trainer. I actually learned how to, aggressively train kids, program, research, learn about injury prevention, quote unquote, and just kind of take it to the next level. So I think I was able to do that, and then, have other people say, okay, he's not doing this, let me work up, let's do this and kind of pivot and create my own thing. I do feel like I was definitely a part of making this a thing in Charleston and making it believable, and really, because like I remember when I first started, a lot of coaches have a problem with me charging kids for training. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I definitely think I moved that door comfortably. So I definitely had to fight a battle with that, and looking like a bad person because I was charging kids whatever the case may be for training. But they're just like, hey man, like I know it's not here yet, but I'm gonna show y'all that this thing is possible. So yeah.
Definitely showing us. Definitely showing us. Well, I do want to say congrats on the facility as well.
Yeah,
Getting
appreciate
it here, long summer we had a difficult way getting it here, but we got it here. And I want to say I appreciate you for having me around too.
Yeah, man, definitely.
I learned a lot, and just having me around because I kind of had the same goal as you. Like I want kids to see what it takes, right, to make it out, and that's really what my YouTube was doing all summer. It was all unplanned, and then it came to my head when I was recording events. I was like, man, all these kids want to get to this level,
Right.
but from around here they don't know, how.
Right.
First person, I think one of the first people we have in the NBA is Khris, from the area.
Definitely.
And that's all they knew. Some people don't even know he's from there. That's the crazy
well
thing.
said. Yeah, Khris is definitely a pioneer when it came to that, and then obviously the rest of
everybody.
Aaron followed suit, and now Josiah's doing the same thing. So, shout out to JP, man, for sure.
Powerhouse.
If anybody's doing it the right way, it's definitely him. So, keep doing that and keep making this thing possible for everybody. So, but yeah, man, that definitely working with Aaron and Josiah is kind of surreal now because I've been working with those guys since 5th grade, and kind of seeing their progress. I kind of saw Khris a little bit because we grew up around each other. And like when you're young, you don't really understand as much as you need to. But now when you're older, you're seeing Aaron and Josiah and seeing what it looks like. It's just like, man, the recipe for it is so simple because I wouldn't say Josiah and Aaron are these massive anomalies, right? They're not a bunch of Aaron's a 6'5" shooting guard. You can find 3,000 of those type of dudes, right? So Aaron really showed me how many things have to go right for you to make the league, right? Because we can say Beach, NBA player. Yeah. We can say Vince, he's an NBA player. Like, why are those guys not making it? It's like one thing that's missing, or one thing with maybe a little left, whether it's a game or a moment that kind of shied them away from that. So it's like, kids really don't understand how hard it is to be a professional, not just overseas, but really in the NBA, like how hard it is to get there. Because you got guys in the G League right now that can really go, but they're not getting opportunity, right? So it's a combination, a little bit of luck, a little bit of hard work, and really about carrying yourself as a professional. So, but yeah, so let's pause up for 1 second.
See where we go.
Talking about Aaron and Josiah. Yeah, man, but that process is so hard, and it takes so much discipline, focus, and relentlessness to, that's kind of my motto now with athletes. You got to have relentless discipline, focus in that order. Like, you got to be relentless about your discipline, relentless about your focus. You got to maintain that for so long. And the one thing about those three guys that I appreciate is that I realized those dudes were pros when they were in high school. Like the way they carried themselves, that's what JP talked about. How they carry themselves as a pro so early. Like when you're walking like that in high school, it only makes sense why they made it to that NBA level. Because they were professional for so long in their career. That by the time they got to a court, they already knew how to walk the walk and talk the talk. So that's one thing I always try to express to athletes. If you want to make it to that next level, you got to start acting like a professional in high school. About carrying yourself, talking the right way, being a leader, being vocal, doing all the little things that no one else wants to do. That's just kind of what it takes.
So when did you start? You started training Vince sophomore year too?
Vince's sophomore year, so that would have been, I want to say Vince is a year older than Aaron, but it could be the same age. Him and Aaron might be. I could be wrong on that. But I saw Vince's 10th year. That's when he transferred to James Allen. Yeah. So Vince's first year at James Allen was my first year coaching. Mm-hmm. Brady was 2 years before that. I had been training with Brady, and then Vince came in, and that's when things really started kind of picking up. And Vince, man, I mean, that dude used to spend like 3 hours a day, but that's when I had done nothing but time to train
Yeah.
one person. So we used to get in the lab for like after practice, before practice, in the mornings. Like we really were putting in that work. So we were kind of like the perfect storm. But he was the guy who would like everything I taught him, he would do it like within a matter of a day in a game, in a live situation. So I could move on to something else really quick. And we were just able to get a lot of shots up in the gym, spend a lot of time gym. I was like, my first 2 guys were just gym rats. So like ever since that moment, it's like these are the only type of kids that I'm going to work with. Like the kids that want to be here, the kids that want to play in college. Like let's play at the next level in general. And this is like, that slowly just became the culture for me. It's like, if you don't want to play in college, you don't need to be a part of this program. So it is what it is. So
That's what I like, because this is my first time seeing you with the younger kids, and they're killers, bro.
yeah, man. The kids that we work with, man, you gotta set a certain type of discipline with these guys, man, and almost kind of be kind of a hard ass to start, so they just understand, how serious this thing really is, and then I have fun. You've seen me in those moments too, but like, got to be able to do both. You got to be able to lock in. You got to be able to enjoy it. Once they understand that, it's like, all right, like we can have a good time, but I need you to be about this work when you walk in the door. So, and if you don't, I used to kick a lot of kids out of my program. Like, if you ain't working hard, just leave. But now I don't really feel like I have to do that all anymore. I know how to get them engaged, get them to lock in, and do what needs to be done. So, yeah.
So, going back to those days at James Island, James, you were talking about it on the video we did Monday a little bit. He was like, man, he used to be killing everybody in practice, and then you come with a jersey on, and he's like, man, I hate Davon. And you text him the next morning, that don't work out. And it just kept doing a repeating cycle. And to see where it is now, with you guys, man, seeing how the comfortability you have with the guys, it's not like you're just training.
Yeah.
It's like you know them. It's like a family,
No question. Yeah, definitely, man. That's the environment I want to be here. Like, I know a big goal for me. I always, when I do my, meditations or vision, whatever it is, I always have this vision of like, having a cookout and just all my athletes here just kicking and chilling, having a good time in the backyard. And that's the kind of culture I want. Like, we grew up on these, cookouts and Sunday soul food with grandma's house, and like how much, without even thinking about it, that meant to the family just to be around everybody and the stories you would share. Growing up with your cousins, like, man, remember we did this, and like not even thinking it happened because, grandma made food or uncle made food, that everyone came to the house and chilled. So like just trying to create that culture where like when we're home, man, we family. We chilling, we having a good time. My older guys will go out together sometimes, so like just having that, and just like it's got to be more than just training for these kids. It's got to be about relationships and culture. So like, like Robert, like I kind of got that same type of energy with Robert now, where it's like, when I hoop with him, I'm a big bro. I'm gonna make him mad. I'm gonna do something wild to him and get him angry. Sorry, how he acts. Same thing I used to do with events, and then after that, it's like he gonna be mad at me for a little bit, and then it's like right back to work. Let's get back in the lab. So I'm not fun to hoop with. That's why I don't like hooping that much anymore. I'm too competitive. I'm gonna talk some shit, and all that. But so now that I'm older, it's like I don't know if I want that type of relationship with those guys.
Yeah.
So much of that. Now I gotta start changing. My mentorship and my attitude with who I'm interacting with. So, but at the end of the day, if I gotta get in the court and do some work, I'm gonna do some work.
I know you will.
So,
yeah. We were talking about too, how the intensity in the workouts, and you don't feel foul. I told that to them. They can't stop falling a foul.
No.
You're gonna work through it. And,
Yeah.
One thing, like today, I saw with kid with the shirt off. Can't remember his name, but Evan. What I saw, like you had him burnt out, tired, and it's like you were kind of just talking through it, flipping him through the switch, and he was pushing through it, and it was a trial. Like that's really what I like to see. It kind of caught me off guard today because I've never seen it.
Right.
especially with the kids. You know, it's rare around here with kids.
No question.
We don't have that.
Well, learn how to tap into kids' mental without necessarily screaming at them is kind of what you want. Like, how do you engage? That's a skill too as a trainer and as a mentor. Is how do you kind of break them to a point where they feel like they can't make it through, or like this is like the worst field in the world, and show them that they can actually accomplish something in that moment. So like, because that's going to happen in life, and it's going to happen on the court. It's like you got to get a stop when your dog tired, and you got one possession before you can get a dead ball or a timeout or end of the game or second quarter or halftime, whatever the case may be. It's like you got to learn how to fight through situations, and like for me, I know when I want to put that situation on them. I know when I want to completely break you, counter break you, or just like let's have a smooth day and just feel good the whole day. And as a trainer, you got to know how to juggle that within a week and within what we call a mesocycle, so 3 months or so, or a month, of kind of what you want that to look like. Like today, all right, like yesterday, like they didn't feel too confident about themselves. Let's make sure tomorrow they feel good workout, or like, all right, they're feeling good, they're getting a little cocky, to break them and show them, keep them humble, show them they got more work to do. So you just got to figure out and learn. You kind of learn that as a trainer as you go. Like that's usually not something you just pick up right away. It's kind of one of those things that you got to put the 10,000 hours in and figure out how to perfect, who you want to be as a trainer, as a mentor, as a teacher of the game, whatever the game may be, and push that kid to the next level.
Yeah. So, aside from the on the court side of things, you talked about the weight room and how we're going to eat those and the injury prevention stuff. And I'm watching you demonstrate. Sometimes I'm giving Vince a look like, is he doing this really? Vince giving me that same look like, really? And it works though. How did you start with that? Like, is that from when you were studying in school? How you got all that?
Man, it's funny, man. I remember when I might have been 10th grade. I've always been working out. I don't care. Like, naturally, I've always worked out. That's just who I am. It's like I've always been into it. Like I remember when I got the jump soles, I followed that program to the T. Like week to week, got my vert out like 6 inches, and then it kind of stayed with me my whole career. But like, I've always been into like the process of getting better, and what that looks like. So for me, like once I got in the books and I started being able to put the science behind what I already was not good at, it was game over. So like, because for me, so I did an internship for 2 years at college, Charleston, where I was working with teams, and like I got lucky to have this guy named Proto, who's the strength coach at Boston College with Earl Grant now, and like he kind of showed me really how to dive, what that looks like from a strength and conditioning standpoint, and how to follow that mode. So I had a really good mentor with him, because he was just a smart dude. He was a brainiac, always in the books, always learning. So I was like, all right, that's what it has to happen. That's what I have to do. So I got lucky with a guy like that, and who always like seek knowledge. Yeah. And this knowledge was simply just from reading. Like he was just a book nerd. So I was like, all right, I got to be a book nerd. So I became one, and I'm still one, and I try to continue doing that over time, man, and always kind of stay in the books, find a new article, whatever the case may be, and I always learn something from it. So, and how do I implement that into my sessions? So, like, especially with these pro guys who need like more recovery training, they do need strength. That you can see, like, them first like 6 weeks was all mobility, activation, just making the bodies feel better for that long season. And then, like, the last 3 weeks, we kind of got to the strength side. So, but usually that mobility is the stuff that actually makes them jump higher, takes pressure off the knee, makes them feel good, gets them a little bit more explosive, more than me trying to do what I would do in my middle school, because where it's like load, force first, get them stronger. So yeah, man, all that stuff really came from school, putting the science behind what I naturally love to do, and just became one synchronized programming for me.
Yeah. Do you think would you ever do strength and conditioning or player development in college?
100%. Hopefully, I don't want to necessarily train like this forever.
Yeah.
I think my kind of retirement job from this would be to either be like player development, strength and conditioning for a college or for an NBA team.
Yeah.
And that kind of be hope I can give this away to one of my younger guys that I trained or somebody that I trust, and just say, hey man, I already kind of did the hard work and kind of got it going. Now you got to take it further, build it up. So that's kind of what I really want. So I want to give it away and start something, or give it to another trainer that's already doing well. Say, hey, you can have all my clients, and you kind of do your thing. So, but realistically, I do want to step away from this, and do something a little bit more higher level. So I am starting to realize as I'm getting older, my passion is kind of starting to be more so college pro now, not so much so middle school, elementary level. And it's not that I don't think I have the patience for it. I think I've done it for so long, and I've grown with kids. Like all the kids I started with were in middle school, now they're in college, now they're pros.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I kind of feel like going with them and doing that same way. So we'll see, man. It could be a year from now, it could be 2 years from now, it could be 6. So stay tuned. If you hear about it, you'll hear about it.
Yeah, we'll hear about it. Yeah. You never know when something like that's gonna happen. It's gonna just come in. Especially like you'll probably have people knocking on your door.
Yeah, I hope so, man.
Honestly,
that door needs to start knocking real soon.
So let's go back to you in high school. Where'd you go in high school?
So I went to James Island.
You did go to James Island.
I graduated in 07. I was on the team with a bunch of football players, so I was the only person that cared about basketball. So it was all right. I was in the era with Brandon Wright, Kendrick Robinson. They were a year ahead of me. And those guys were like number 2 in the state. They were hooping back then. So, I think they were the best team in the area. Them, Chris and Travis are 2 years behind me, so they would have been, on the rise.
Yeah.
They weren't quite there yet, but they were still on the rise. I'm trying to think what else school was really good back then, but I can't think who. Wanda wasn't bad back then as well. Wanda was pretty good. Fort D was actually pretty good. Carlos Dunlap was on that team.
He was? Really?
Yeah, Carlos Dunlap. He hooped. Yeah. A.J. Green, Somerville.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
So all those guys were really good. Those teams I know for a fact I lost to my senior year playing basketball. So yeah, man, I grew up in a pretty crazy football era too. I always think about it. A lot of dudes in our era were like legit D1 football players, and then like 2 years later, Travis and Chris's era, that's what a real basketball kind of era was. We might have had like 7 or 8 guys go D1 out of that crew. Yeah, so you had KJ Manigault, kid named what was that kid's name? Oh my God, he was an All-American. He was at time with Milton Jennings was on that team. Then Chris Trav, Ryan and Steve was on that team, but he ended up going to play football for D1. So yeah, that class had some good dudes. A kid named Ben Evan, who was from here, he went D1, but he transferred to another school to Florida. So, but yeah, man, it was just went to JI, played D2, got done with D2, did that internship at College Boston, man, and the rest is history. So can't stop. Give me 1 second, let me.
I don't know where we left off, but I do want to ask you. So for these upcoming trainers and the guys that are just starting, or kind of getting into it, like me, what advice would you give them?
Man, just try to find a way. My biggest thing is try to find help as soon as possible. Have somebody that's kind of like helping you on the back end, whether it be like mentorship or just assisting you, popping into like one session at a time, things like that. Make sure One, you understand the guidelines of running a business. Like you are a business once you start becoming a trainer, like you're your own business. And then you just need to figure out how to, manage that and be a trainer and build your culture. All right. So like, for me, because I feel like I had a lot of stuff I felt alone with. Like, I feel like people didn't start really helping me and giving me knowledge until I started doing it really well. And my goal is always to, like, anytime someone tries to come to me for advice, I'm open arms, but hey, you want to get started, you gotta do these things. You gotta try to find these type of kids to work with to get you going and market yourself. And starting off is going to be a little slow. It's going to be a little rugged. If you can't get through that part, you're not going to make it. So you got to be humble enough to know, like, you're not about to be popping off the way you think you are as fast as you think you are either. So have a little bit of grace, have a little bit of patience with the process. Really do, all of us get lucky and, within 6 months, we're already blowing up. So you just got to, progressively add on and do it slowly. That way you don't get overwhelmed when things do get carried away. I think, when I was by myself initially, I felt like I had so many kids and not really anybody could truly help me the way I needed help. I took on more than I needed to. I did a good job of it, but I still took it on way more than I needed to. Like one reason I started doing lacrosse training because there's nobody here to do lacrosse training. Right. So I figured it out. And it turned out pretty well. But I started just taking on stuff because I felt like that's what the city needed me to do. But at the end of the day, if I could, if I had a way to do it, it would have just really just been, weight training for basketball and skills development for basketball. But that's not what my job was here. My job was to do everything. And now that you got, a lot of guys here now that specialize in certain things, whether it be basketball, football, baseball, lacrosse, whatever, golf, tennis, it makes me happy. It puts me at peace knowing that, like, I don't got to take on so much anymore. I can kind of step back, focus on a couple kids and kids that I really want to work with, and let that be that, right? So, so I am happy to see, like, everybody doing well and so many people coming in with training. But also with that, guys got to understand that, like, guys need to start kind of working together and building a business together, or everyone's going to kind of dilute each other out, where it's going to be like, there's not going to be enough kids for how many trainers are coming in. So either you guys got to figure out a way to start working together and build a business as a unit, or no one's really going to be able to full-time train because there's not going to be enough kids to work with. So, you got to get out that crabs in a bucket mentality and focus on how to create a true business that can withstand and have a brick and mortar, or, be at a second location, whether it's Charleston or Columbia or somewhere else. That's the things you got to start thinking about if you're really trying to create a training business. It's like, how did I create something that's, that's successful as a McDonald's or a Wendy's or whatever the case may be? Like, not the realm we might be the best two companies to go off of for training, but still, like, successful business that are everywhere. Whether you want one location or 3 locations, you got to figure out how to make sure every location you have is sustainable in the right area and doing the right things for everybody. So, that's what I would tell my younger self is, like, how do you find the people that's going to help you become a good businessman? And how do you find a person that's going to help you become a good trainer? And the other person is going to help you become a good, your character as a good person. So, those things are super important, man. And you just got to make sure you seek that type of guidance and never come off as you know everything and you don't need help from anybody, or you're better than anybody, right? So it's just like always kind of staying grounded, believing in yourself and having that confidence, but still being able to step back and see the bigger picture and what you're trying to accomplish, and understand that, like, you're not going to get there probably as fast as you want to, and you really don't want to get there too fast, because when you get there too fast, things go bad, right? So be patient with the process and let your thing grow organically, man. Try not to cheat the system. You try to cheat, it's not going to work out for you in the long run. It'll always come back and bite you in a bad way. So just grind, put your head down, work, and try to do all the right things that makes you a successful business businessman, businesswoman, uh, business him, she, they, it, whatever you want to,
Whatever,
justify
man.
yourself
Whatever.
as, get
Yeah.
it done. So that'd be my best, definitely my advice to my younger self or any young trainer
Mhm.
trying to come up and make a name for themselves.
Yeah, and that goes for anything, guys, in life. The mentality is saying, if you when you like don't expect things to just happen like so quick. It takes time, and that's really that goes for if you're playing basketball or the trainers. Even just starting YouTubes like me and stuff like that. It takes time. It's not going to just happen overnight. So that goes for life. But you mentioned lacrosse, and lacrosse is kind of new around here.
Yeah.
We not really too fond in that, and I think it's only in the coastal areas. Like, not it's not inland. It's what Lucy Beckham, Wando
Mount
is
Pleasant for sure. Mount
just all
Pleasant
Mount
runs the
Pleasant
lacrosse
schools for
world.
sure. Yeah,
Lacrosse has a certain type of population,
yeah,
for sure. It's kind of a affluent type of sport, just like tennis, golf.
yeah, yeah.
So obviously Mount Pleasant's going to run the world with that. But yeah, man, I remember like those girls that started with me might have been, you know, the only. It was 5 of them when I started, 4 of them when I started that was working with me that were serious. There was another group of 4 girls that were serious that was training with somebody else, and all of them ended up coming to me together as a unit. But yeah, those 8 girls, man, might have changed my life. And I kind of saw. I had a parent who was a lacrosse junkie. He kind of really was at every session just talking me through, what lacrosse is, what it's about, and once I was able to put that correlation together of like what it was kind of hitting the ground running from there. So, um, yeah, once I figured out how they move and what the offense and defense and that kind of stuff looked like, it was all right. Like, I actually know how to train this sport. It's
Yeah.
pretty easy. Um, and from there, man, yeah, I had 4 girls that were just all about it, and then it turned into I think 7 girls. And it's cool. One's at Villanova, one's at Coastal, other one's at Winthrop. Another girl plays for the number 5 D2 in the country, Florida Southern. And there's one going next year to Clemson for lacrosse. So, all those girls, like I said, they're the perfect storm. Girls that were super serious, wanted to play in college, and like they were, like when they came in, they were ready to work. So, got like I said, I was the culture that I was trying to build, and that culture kept attracting to me. And the same thing happened with volleyball. My first volleyball girl, I had her for 3 years. She had worked with me in 7th grade one time, and she finally came back, I think, like her sophomore year. And that's the only volleyball girl I had to start with. And then I started working with this program for 5 years and started working with his club. And then I got 6 of his serious girls. And now those girls are College Charleston, Navy, Tulane, Pepperdine, and Georgia Tech. So it's just like, those type of people are, and what this is starting to become understood of like,
Your list is elite, man.
Man, it's cool to know that like,
Got an elite
what's
list.
funny is like, I'm very happy to know that like I was able to help kids get D1 or just in college in general in so many different sports. Like that's just something I never quite like. I knew I could do the strength and conditioning side for sure, but I never knew that I was going to be able to be like, okay, I got 2 tennis kids that play Michigan and Southern Cal, right? Like, I had a swimmer that went to Tulane. Just like all these sports that like I would never in my mind like, damn, like I remember working with these sports in my internship, but like I didn't think I would make that a mode when I got out of school.
Part of your business, too.
Part of the company, right? Yeah. So it just got cool, and I thought, the young me thought I was going to be able to find all these specialists and start taking over, and I could kind of step back, and maybe it's still there, maybe it's not,
Yeah.
but that's one of those things that's like, to be seen.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, it was just like lacrosse was like one of those things that like it started small, and then it like tripled in like the last 2 years. And now it's really tripling. Like now it's
Yeah.
becoming a big deal. Like, this girl Taylor who runs the South Carolina lacrosse association, whatever it is. Like she just travels around and just putting sticks in kids' hands and teaching them the sport.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that sport's growing and it's cool to be a part of it. I think eventually all I would want to do for them is speed training.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like all the dodging stuff because like I didn't play the sports. I still want somebody around that could talk the talk, walk the walk.
Yeah.
I could definitely get you quicker and faster, but lacrosse is a cool sport, man. I think every wide receiver should play that sport. Every football player, skills position football player really should be a lacrosse player because the two sports, literally in the sense of movement, they go hand in hand, and every football player would greatly benefit, especially wide receivers and tight ends, would greatly benefit off of playing that sport. I mean, like Marshall Pritchett, who played, he's from here, but he's going to UNC as a tight end. You know, he's a lacrosse player as well too.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Dominant. Like he could play D1 lacrosse for sure, right? So it's like
wow,
those two sports are just so synonymous with each other, especially in that position. Like all the release moves are dodge moves. So like if you can dodge in lacrosse, you can release of the wide receiver tight end pretty efficiently. So yeah, man. If you're a football player, man, as a middle school, pick up that stick. That stick's gonna help you.
No, right.
Become an elite football player. That's your goal. So between that and track, you got to figure out what you want to do and get it done. So yeah, man. Look, shout out to lacrosse in South Carolina, man. We here now. We're making a scene for ourselves.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like you almost trained them like wide receivers. Like when they were in the ethos with us, it's like I recognize some of the stuff you had them doing, like that I was doing as a wide receiver.
Right.
So I knew that sport was like kind of in tune with football, but I didn't really know how until I was starting to see it, and then you just broke it down to me.
Yeah. So
like, because
moving wise, it's football. Offensive and defensive wise, scheming wise, is basketball. Oh, they run their offense is basketball based. So they run like flex, they run screens. They kind of run like not necessarily pick and rolls, but like the offense is very much basketball oriented. And then you got the soccer concept within that, like the midfields, the attackmen, the goalie. So like you got like these three sports in one. So that was where my mind. Okay, I got this sport, and it's just together.
Combining it all.
Let me get it done. So yeah, man, and first soccer kid went to D1. Shout out to Kylie Sino. Love you, girl. She's at South Carolina. I think they're number 17 in the country.
Dang.
She was Gatorade Player of the Year.
Good job.
My third Gatorade Player of the Year, man. Pretty cool. Shout out to Aaron. Coolest fact about Aaron, no one really realized that he beat Zion Williams out for Gatorade Player of the Year. They graduated the same year. Aaron was,
I didn't even realize
Aaron was Mr. Basketball over Zion.
I did not realize that until you just said that.
Shout out my boy Nesmith.
Whoa.
But yeah, man. So yeah, man, it's been cool. Like Josiah was All-American. All those lacrosse girls, all of them were All-Americans.
Yeah.
My volleyball player was an All-American. So it's like, I've been blessed, man. I always tell people like, all I did is guide them. Like at the end of the day, like they really are hard workers. So like, with or without me, they were going to college to play the sport. My goal is just to try to get them up another level. That maybe like, all right, you might have been on the borderline for D1, D2. Now you a guaranteed mid-major.
Yeah.
Or you a guaranteed bona fide high-level D2 player or high-level D1 player. Like my goal is to like take what you are naturally. Yeah, you're going to go to college. Let's see if we can get you up another step, get you to another level. So, like I always tell Aaron, like, all right, let's add on and stack up and add something to your game that you didn't have last year and get you a little better. This is the goal. Let's make a name for yourself. Let's be defensive player of the year. Let's get 50, 40, 90. Let's do stuff that's going to solidify you as an elite basketball player in that game and for your team. He's been blessed. Like he rode the bench for three years. Didn't really play more than, 9 minutes a game, if that. So, yeah, you were on a good team, but you didn't play. And then he gets traded to Pacers and, you got this young developing team that's becoming like almost like a powerhouse in the league, slowly but surely. So
I think they'll be good this year.
It'd be interesting to kind of see. I'm happy for him. He's got a starting position with that team and seems to be kind of, the staff loves him. And, yeah, man, it's just been cool to be a part of all the processes and see it all of our athletes develop into just these elite
Like really,
players, man. So, but I always say, man, it's just like all of them are just really hard working, really driven, really live by that relentless, discipline, focused philosophy that I try to preach and they get shit done, man. Plain and
yeah,
simple,
they do.
they just get it done. They work hard, they put the time in. They do more than just the time with me, which is super important. Like that hour or 45 minutes or 2 hours with me isn't enough sometimes, and they go out and do more. All of them do. So,
Yeah,
that can't stop training or can't stop mentality is really with them. They live
yeah,
by it. So
embedded in it.
it's been cool, man, for sure, 100%.
That's one thing I can't see. Like, I think every single person that came through hard working, even Lil Cam, man, and that's I loved watching him this summer. I was telling Vince that because seeing from when I first met him and he would never back down. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And he's gonna run his mouth. He's gonna say he can stop you, and he's gonna put the ball in front of you,
Yeah.
and try to stop you. And that's that mentality, man. And I realize like all your athletes got that mentality, man, and that is a great thing. It's a gift to have, really.
Yeah. Being able to give. Because I used to think you couldn't transform somebody into a dog or make them mentally tough, but you really can, man. It's like, and you almost got to do it without telling them. Because if you try to force them on it, it's not going to happen. So you got to find ways to manipulate it within the training sessions and make them become a dog. You know what I mean? Like Cam didn't. The only reason Cam became that is because he had to guard Aaron for a whole summer. Gave him some confidence, right?
Yeah.
They're like, okay, if I can keep up with him a little bit, I can, what are these D2, D3 guys to me, right? Like, and just having them around, like, when you put kids around other hard workers and you start seeing what it looks like, now you naturally kind of just develop it. Like, if you're around Vince all day, you're going to start getting in the gym and working hard. You got no choice, right?
Yeah.
So, Cam was just lucky enough, and I never told him, but I just forced him, hey, you got to come help me work these things out.
You did.
And then you're going to work out after that. Like, see what it looks like first, and now you get to do it. And then you started seeing them make mistakes and then going back and doing it all over again because you saw the pros, like, they'd mess up. They might curse a little bit, but they're going to do until they figure it out. And, I started seeing him pick those philosophies up from those guys. Like, that's where the culture and the family thing starts coming into play. It's like, that's really not me. That's him seeing guys that he looks up to. Like Robert looks up to Vince more than he looks up to me, or at least he should.
Yeah.
Right? He should look up to Aaron more than he looks up to me. I'm just a guy that puts you in a situation to be great. And then it's up to you to want to be great from there. So, my goal is to be. I want to be one of the best trainers in the world, man. I want to be at a conference, that, one of those books I read giving us a philosophy about my culture and what I do and how I train and my philosophy. And I want to have my own goddamn building at College Charleston, you know what I mean? An exercise science department. So, those are things that I really want for myself one day when I look back on my life and say, like, I did everything I could do to be the best trainer I could be. So, so yeah, man, I hopefully I get to a point where something comes out of in the long run that I've been proud of myself, and hopefully I made Charleston proud enough to know that I helped enough kids get to where they need to get to, and I could kind of move on from that and start evolving a little bit more. So I do want to evolve into something else, and I feel like I got a greater purpose to do and serve, and hopefully, we get there, I get there, and things just keep moving from there, man. But yeah, I think it's definitely time to grow and expand and evolve, and I can't wait to see what that looks like and what it's going to be. So,
it's gonna be crazy.
Definitely, no doubt, no doubt.
You're already making the impact here. That's the main thing. City needed it, and now it's making other people make impacts.
Right.
It's like a domino effect. You started it, and now we're all following it. and now everybody kind of wanting the same goals because, you know, we all came with the same, where we didn't have what to look for or know what to do. We had to kind of find on our own. So it's like now it's like, let's give back. You know, let's let everybody else
Definitely.
have what we, you know, didn't have or what we didn't know at the time. You know,
Right.
That's really what it is, man. And
all I want them train. I remember like one of the trainers that I used to work with, you know, always used to talk about leading by example. And I know one thing I always wanted to do is like, man, like if you're gonna be a trainer here, and whether you think you compete when you're not, because I mean we're all competing with each other, technically speaking, we're all competition. But at the end of the day, like, you know when people walk up to me or walk by me and be like, or point and say, "That's Can't Stop Training," like you believe that just by the way I look.
yeah,
Like I look like a trainer.
you do.
You don't even question that, right? So it's just like that's one of those examples I always wanted to lead. Like if you want to be a trainer, be a trainer. Like if you walk in that room and people say, you know, ISO skills or Florida performance or, you know, R2 or you know, J2 Meeks, any of those guys, stuff like that, man. Like, you know, you better be able to walk that walk, talk that talk. And, you know, when they call you, when kids are like, oh, that's him right there, you're like, okay, yeah, he definitely a running back coach. I can see that. You know, I can see his speed coach. I can see, you know, he's a basketball trainer. Like, I just want people, that's the influence I want to have. Like if you're going to be a trainer, be a trainer.
Yeah.
Don't just kind of be here just going through the motions, looking sloppy, but then you're not going to motivate nobody. That's not really what anybody wants. People want to see you get down and dirty sometimes. And obviously, as I get, you know, my Phil Handy phase in my life, I still want to be able to look like that to some capacity.
Yeah.
Phil Handy still looks like he's stuck in hoop, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, so just kind of seeing, you know, training is just, you just reinvent the wheel, man. No one's really creating anything new. We're all stealing and borrowing concepts from each other. And if you think you aren't, then you got to get out your own ego. And that's one of the biggest things with trainers. Like everybody's borrowing or stealing ideas and concepts from each other and using it to help other athletes. That's just kind of what it is. That's what exercise science is. That's what I went to school for. So research, figure out what the research is, how to improve, make it better, and then you share it to the world, so everybody can evolve. So, you know, that's just one thing as a trainer you got to accept is like nothing you do, you really just created that. You know, someone else has already done it.
Yeah.
They might not have posted it, or you might just not have seen someone else do it yet, but they've done it. This happened. So, so be cool with that, man, and stay humble and you know, just be all in with the process, man, and do everything you gotta do to be elite. Because I'm gonna show up.
Yeah, you are.
If you don't show up, I'm gonna be up at 4 a.m. getting ready to train, and I'm gonna go to sleep 10 o'clock. So you know, I'm gonna wake up before you, and I'm probably gonna go to sleep after you. So like, if you want to compete, cool, but you better make sure you up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be up before you every time, and I'm gonna show up and make sure I help my kids, man. So. But yeah, man, I like having trainers here, man. It keeps me grounded too, like from being lazy. You know what I mean? Like, make sure I'm grinding as well too. So like, it's always good to have people like other people around doing things because it keeps you motivated to keep working. So, because I definitely got bored for a little while. I felt like, and then as other guys started coming around, that shit kind of gave me some new energy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Which I love. I needed that. So, but yeah, man, I always call myself like a young OG when it comes to training.
Yeah.
Like I feel like, you know, I'm 35, you know, to my high school kids, obviously I'm like a granddad, but in the retrospect of life, you know what I mean? Like, to say I already
call me unc, right?
To do what I've done in that amount of time, man, it's been kind of cool. So I'm ready to kind of make that next transition, man, like I said before. But shout out, man. You know, it's funny, man. I got this, you know, we sitting in this gym.
Yeah.
That I thought I would have had by year 4, and here we are, year 10. I finally got a space where I don't got to beg somebody to rent space out no more. So it's kind of cool, man. And this brings me a lot of peace more than it actually brings me stress. So yeah, man, that's, you know, I feel like I'm in the gym and I feel like I'm gonna be here for a short time and be gone before, you know, I get to truly enjoy this. I feel like I'm ready to just pass this off to somebody else to take over and go from there. So Yeah, man. Fall league next Wednesday, man. Pull up to the fall
Oh
league. Come
yeah.
see my young boys hoop. Come see these high school kids get after it before the season starts, man. So
So that's what it is. It's gonna be high school kids in it,
it's
or
always high school kids, man.
okay.
And they just, it's just like a preseason program. It's like you get to hoop with your boys and get yourself ready. And the coaches come out and watch your guys play. And I'm sure they give them some advice later, but it's just a cool basketball community for high school. Like you got to be on a JV or varsity team really to play. Um, that's really the only criteria. So just guys just coming in and just kind of getting in rhythm. Like we use the high school league refs as well, so they can kind of start getting in rhythm as well too.
Oh
So
okay.
everybody's kind of getting this, preseason rhythm flow kind of going on. So like, coaches like one of the best compliments I saw coaches say was like, man, I'm learning a lot about my team, or I'm learning a lot about some of my guys
Mhm.
before we even start our first practice. And he was like, thank you for that, man. I get to like, I'm not coaching them, but I'm getting to see like some mannerisms that I want to change. And I've seen how like some guys are playing better than I thought they would play. How can I use him in my offense? So, that makes me happy, man. And knowing that like I created something that has a good impact on the
Yeah.
basketball community in Charleston. I feel like the Fall League has become this thing that's just like a really good way to, help these guys just prepare and just kind of get in a rhythm. Just like, like I tell some coaches, all I'm doing right now is creating the most organized pickup basketball you
Yeah.
could possibly think of right now. Um, so yeah, man, pull up to the Fall League every Wednesday, starting at 5:30 till 8:30, man, and it's going to be for the next 6 weeks, all the way up until Halloween. And come watch the young boys compete and hoop, man. It should be fun at the Athletic Center starting
Yeah.
next Wednesday.
North Charleston Athletic Center. I think we'll have some media coverage out there too,
Hey,
man.
man, my boy Josiah Bryant, man. Jeez.
Yeah, man.
I remember when he first started with me, bro. Like that, he was at Trident Tech taking classes for film.
Mm-hmm.
Came in and did his first. Our first one was with Vince. Matter of fact, that was his first one, and I didn't see him film one time the whole time, and I was like, man, this dude kind of sucks. You know what I mean? I literally did not see it. He sent me back the video, and it was like it was cold. It was a cold video, pun intended, I guess. But um, yeah, then ever since then we kind of just stuck together. I saw him grow, he saw me grow, and it's kind of cool to see where he is and what he's got going on. And like, the man's too busy for me now, right? So it's
Yeah,
like
man.
that dude's all over, man. So I always try to give him some good advice too, just about stuff, man, and a lot of mistakes I've made. Hopefully he doesn't make them. I always try to give him some advice
Yeah.
and help him grow. But yeah, he's one of them young boys that I look up to, and I'm proud of him, and I'm happy to see his business really get to where it is, man. Because he's like the media guy in South Carolina now.
Yeah,
You know what I
man.
mean? So,
He's running it.
and I just hope more guys hop on board with him and help his business really expand. Because that's what we got to change. Is like
Yeah.
stop trying to do everything on your own. Like this guy created a great thing that everybody can eat off of. Hop on board with him, and next thing you know, y'all will be in North Carolina, Georgia in no time, and
Yeah.
next thing y'all the next overtime, right? Y'all the next complex or any type of high level media coverage that's
Yeah.
out there. Like I can see hype season becoming that. You know what I mean?
It's
So
so close.
yes,
Like
he's
I
right
know it's
there.
on the break. It's
So if
on the
everybody
break.
just hops on board and just helps support that, like everybody's going to feed off of that eventually. And those are the things that I wish that like this, and I know that kind of happens everywhere, but definitely in Charleston, man, people got to learn how to, stop thinking about, I want to do this for myself. I want to be my own boss. Yeah, there's a time for it, but when you got somebody who's starting something that's growing
Mm-hmm.
and you hop on board with that, you help that grow faster, and both of y'all make more money.
Everybody eats.
Eats, right?
Yeah.
So, and Josiah is right. Like he's right at that point where he's got something where everybody can eat, and I just hope everybody stay on board and kind of be patient with the process and let it grow, because once it does, it's going to feed a lot of people, man. So shout out to my boy JB, man. I love you, boy.
Man.
Hey, if you see this video, can't stop Davon. I love you, my guy. That's my dude.
You know he's
So,
gonna see it, man.
but yeah, man, man, just shout out to growth, man. Shout out to all the dudes in the city, training wise, that's growing. You got really good. Shout out to DC. She's in the city training. Hopefully she'll take over the girls basketball world. Chris Evans, who's been really good for the women's basketball world as well, like heaven sent type of dude. You got Meeks, man. Meeks. Every time I look at Meeks, it's like I feel like I'm looking in the mirror sometimes. Because like I feel like he moved. When I first started moving, we kind of moved just alike. So anytime I see him, man, I'm always happy to see him. He kind of another dude. When I look at him, it keeps me grounded. Good to see him grow and the philosophy that he has and the way he trains, man. It's, damn near identical.
Yeah.
To the way my philosophies as well. So he's just one of them dudes that I'm like, I always look at. He give me a little bit of life, I'm happy. Like he one of them dudes is like, okay, I feel comfortable knowing like somebody like him is here now. So like, I would never if I left right now, I wouldn't feel bad about leaving Charleston. Yeah. Like if I left, I'd just give all my clients to him.
Yeah, and he'd be good.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah, so that's yeah. Shout out to growth in the city, man. Shout out, you got dads taking over, getting more kids in the gym. Shot doc, same thing. You got all this thing. All you guys that's coming in with the media. T. Ross, RJ, with B Visuals. Like you got so many guys coming in and creating their own space. Hopefully we find a way to unify, and it is unified. Like a lot of those guys, always together, doing things at the same places. So you're starting to see like the young culture starting to change. You got all these young basketball coaches taking over now everywhere. Daniel Eakin, who played with us at Port City, prior to TNP. He's taking over the BE program, which is big time. Travis took over JI.
Yeah, Travis did.
So yeah, man, the young dudes are taking over, man. We're here now. We're about to change the culture of basketball and, change the culture of sports in general. So hopefully, 5 years from now, everything looks a little different. Yeah. So I always have to tell people sometimes, man, I was like, hey, man, I'm not a basketball trainer. I'm a sports trainer.
Yeah.
So you can't put me in a box, right, just yet. Like, I know you're just thinking about basketball, but I'm thinking about 5 other sports.
5 other, yeah.
So, but, the basketball community for sure has become really, really powerful here. Hopefully all these guys kind of stay on the same page and just keep grinding together and understand like at the end of the day we're growing Charleston basketball, right? And hopefully that becomes something that's competable. We got more K-Mids, more Aarons, more Josiahs here, and they're not just in the Midlands in Columbia where that's where basketball is kind of thriving right now. So we got to catch up to them. Yeah. Then we can start attacking other states. Yeah. So yeah, man. So thanks for listening to our TED Talk today.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate y'all watching this, man. This is a long awaited. I told Davon, I think when he first told me about the story of how he got into this, I'm like, yeah, he's got to be on the podcast. He's got a great story. And then just hearing from Vince, I'm like, he's got to be on here. But like you said, appreciate y'all for watching, man. Wow, I cannot talk. Like, subscribe, and follow us. I'm gonna put it at the bottom. And tune in for your next video.